Hello, my name is Houston Scott. This is a Introduction to Family and Internal Medicine Nurse Workflow in 8.3. If you're not familiar with the GoToMeeting format, you can just click on the little orange box to close that side panel. If you have any questions, like I said, just type them in here, hit send, and I'll answer those after the session is over. Today's agenda is just a general overview of some of the new features and also to go over the nursing workflow. The workflow has not really changed too much. It just looks and feels a little different. The functionality hasn't really been changed, just enhanced a little bit. And one good thing is the sub-navigational links. That'll kind of keep you from having to go back and forth to your templates or your navigation bar. Some of the new enhancements are the home page template. If you click on the specialty and the visit type, you will get a whole new template set in your home, and I'll show that to you now. Okay, so you see a little picture of a house. This is your home template. One of the good things is the medical chart summary. You can see basically a history of all the different things in your intake. You can see the HPIs. You can see the problems list for this patient. Just whatever you want to see, you highlight that, and it will all appear in this little box to the right. Another good thing with this one is you can see a full list of all the patient's telephone calls that have been documented in the system, and it breaks it down by what type of call it was. And some of the other enhancements are the sub-navigational links, and those are located under each tab in the intake template. We have standing orders, adult immunizations, peds immunizations, order management, document library you can get to now all the time from the top of your screen. You no longer have to go to the navigation bar or go to your templates icon. Another enhancement is the health promotions plan. It's used to document the BMI PLC, and you can get to that right by the vital signs in the intake tab. You just click on that little link that says health promotion plan, and I'll show that to you in just a little bit. And quality buttons have been added to various places. When clicked, the quality buttons launch information pop-up templates containing information about documenting the associated clinical quality measure. So this will help you with the CQM, and those may not be put everywhere now that we're going to have them when we actually go live, but once we go live, we'll have them in all the right places. Another new feature is you can send emails, open a telephone call template, make a to-do list, or track your patient status, all from this patient information bar. Now, before you would have to go to the navigation bar to do all this, but now this patient information bar will always be up as long as you are in the patient's chart. Right now, we don't have the email linked to anything, so until that is actually linked, you won't be able to use that. But the telephone call and the to-do, you can use that now. And these are just the sub-navigational links that I was telling you about. And they're located on, no matter what tab you are on, you will have sub-navigational links. And we also have the toggle icons. What this does is it lets you collapse each one of the categories in your tab so that you don't have to do as much scrolling up and down. You can just collapse them all and then open up whichever one you want to work in. And if you want to change the order that they're in, you can just cycle through the icons by clicking on the little cycle buttons. but I'll show you that in the live version also. Okay, you can now get to the care guidelines from any tab within the template. So anytime you're in the intake, you can get to care guidelines. It'll always be at the top right underneath the tab bar. So now let's get into the nursing workflow. Like I said, that pretty much has not changed. You still will first go to the inbox to pull up your patient. Then you'll double click on the patient that you want to pull up. And again, you know that if the patient is in blue and the status says in room, that they've been checked in and front home, so you can go ahead and bring them back. You still want to do your 4-point check. Always make sure you're in the right patient's chart, you have the right provider and location picked right here, and that you have the correct encounter. And once you have that highlighted, you'll just go to your templates icon, and we're not going to be using the TPMG FTS intake anymore. We're going to use the intake with the asterisk in front of it. So you can double click on that, and if you don't have that in your preferred list, you can just click on all and find it there, or you can go to tools and then preferences and add them from there. Okay, so you still start off with the HPI, and it looks and works pretty much the same. If you don't see what you want on the main 14 that are on the top page, you can go to additional manage to bring up a longer list. And no longer are the all HPIs located under additional manage. You can get to them inside additional manage by clicking on this little box next to all HPIs. And that will give you the full list of HPIs that we have in the system. And it works the same way. If you pick one, it'll pop up in the box. If you picked it by mistake, you can just clear it out by clicking on clear. And if you want to make it a follow-up of, you can just check this box for that, and then you would hit save and close. And we still have the do not launch HPI feature. If you don't want the HPI to pop up every time you pick one, you just click this little box, and then you can pick as many as you want and then come over to them and open them up when you get ready to. Now the vital signs, you can still either double click in the grid or just click add to get to them. They do look a little different now, but it still works pretty much the same. You no longer have that little box with the numbers in it where you can just click those to fill it in. Everything is free text now. But make sure you still do the height, weight, and blood pressure on every visit. Those are important for meaningful use, so don't forget that. And just remember to always save and close when you're finished. And if you need to do an additional blood pressure or you want to take the weight again, after you save it, you can just click clear for add and put in your second vital. And the medications module, it still looks exactly the same. The only difference is now you can't double click in the grid. You actually have to hit add or update. But once you get into it, it hasn't changed. It looks the exact same. And for your allergies, if you want to get to the most common list, you'll click on add, and that just has a very common list of allergies. I think it may be around 100. But if you want to search for a specific allergy, you'll click on update. So it kind of works about the same as it did before, it just looks a little different. And when you do your review of system, you can still use the defaults. And you get to your defaults by clicking on this little circle at the top. And if your provider has made defaults for you, you can just pick the one that's appropriate for that patient, and then you can chart by exception. And once you're finished with the review system, you can save and close. And then that will be it for the intake tab, and you will move over to your histories tab. Okay, and any history that you review in the histories tab can be documented by clicking on history review. And what you would do there is just click on detailed document next to each different history type. What that does is everything that you document for that patient will go into the provider's note. If you don't do that, that information won't be provided in the note. And if your doctor doesn't want all that information in the note, you can just click on reviewed and updated, or reviewed, no changes, or history unobtainable. And if you need to add anything to the medical surgical interim list, you will click on interim history for the interim list, and for medical and surgical you will just click add, and it works the same way. You just go in there, find the problem or what type of procedure they had, document it. If it was managed, you would just put whatever they did to manage it. Works the same way as it did before. The family history still works the same. You can add, edit, or remove an entry. It may look a little different, but it still works the exact same way. And you will still get to your smoking status through the social history. You just click add, and then you can go through the different social histories. Now this one definitely looks a lot different. It's a lot easier too. If the person already has information in here like this one, all you have to do is come here and click reviewed, and this little box will update to the current date. So no longer do you have to highlight that little line and click stuff and then hit update. All you have to do is hit review, unless you're making a change. Now anything that was entered before 8.3, if you want to see that history, you just go to historical use, and that will show you all the histories that were updated before 8.3. And just make sure after you review it, you hit save and close. And then that is pretty much it for your basic visit. You can click on intake note at this time, and that will generate a document for the provider showing everything you did for that patient on that visit. And if you don't see it pop up right away on your encounter, just come here and click on this drop arrow next to custom, and you can refresh the system. You may need to do it twice if you don't see it the first time, but after refreshing you should see your document on your encounter. There is one more thing I want to show you though in the live version. Let's say you have a urine dip. We have a much easier way to do that now. And you can do that through the standing orders. You can get to that from a few different places, but the easiest one is right here at the top on the sub-navigational links. Just click on standing orders. And here we have office services and diagnostic history entry. So the urine dip will be under office services, so you'll just click on that arrow if it's not already expanded. Then under display category, you click in that box and you get a list. So we have an option just for urine dips. So if you click on that, it will list all the urine dips we have in the system. You pick the one that you want to use, click on it. Now that order pops up here. You can add a diagnosis to it. And if you don't see the one that you want when you click there, just close that and hit add or update assessment, and then you can find your correct assessment. Okay, and one of the best things about this one is if you get your results right away, you don't have to place the order and then come back and result it. You can come straight here, click in result, then in details, and you can fill that in And once you save that, then you can place the order. But the other good thing, let's say you don't do the results right away, you can place the order. And then when you come back later, once you have the results, if you just click on the order right here, it pops back up there, and then you can put in your details. And that's a much easier way, I think, to do the urinalysis and other office services. We probably will be making a bigger list under display category, so just check that out once you get in 8.3. And also just wanted to show you a little bit about the toggling. If I click here, this will expand all of them, and this is pretty much how you're used to seeing it. But with this, you have to scroll up and down. It takes a little bit of time. If you collapse them all, you can just pick the one that you want to work in and expand it. When you're finished with that, go to the next one. Keeps you from having to scroll up and down. And you can also change the order. So if you know you're going through all of them, you can just cycle through it like this. Just depends on whatever you want to do. And one last thing we wanted to show everybody is with the provider test action. If your provider sends you a task asking you to do something on that template, once you're finished with it, you want to make sure you hit save and complete. If there's nothing else to be done with it, make sure you end the cycle by saving and complete. If you just save it, then it's not really listed as complete in the system. So we're trying to push everybody to do that. And again, that's just right here, save and complete in the provider test action. And then like you normally would, once you're finished with the patient, you would go back to the inbox and you would right click on their name, type in the status ready for physician, and then put the room number that they're in and update. And then you would just go to file and close patient, and then you're finished. So that is pretty much it for the presentation. So now if you have any questions, if you haven't typed them in, you can just go ahead and speak out now. I don't think I have anybody muted. Okay, so I have one question already. When a patient calls, for example, updating a procedure, colonoscopy, is this a new item? Or can you go into previous encounter and update it? I would say you want to go to a new encounter and do a chart update. So for your visit type, let's close this one. You're welcome. I would say just make a new encounter, and you still want to go to the intake. And after you pick your specialty, just do chart update for the visit type, and then you can update anything you need. And that can go for medications, that can go for procedures. Anytime they call you or just come up to give you new information and they're not really being seen, you can just do a chart update. Okay, were there any other questions? Okay, well, if you think of anything later, you can always email the help desk, ask your questions, we'll get it right back to you. And these sessions will all be on YouTube, so if you need to go back and view it or you missed something, you can get to that from YouTube, and the link will be going out soon. All right, thank y'all, and have a good day.